Hey y'all, welcome back. This is Ruben from Smoke-N-Braised BBQ, and today I'm going to teach you how to make ribs two ways and grill some sausage. And towards the end of this episode, I'm going to show you how to turn this into a Halloween dish. First and foremost, one thing we have to do is start all your heating equipment. So we're going to preheat our oven to 350. And we're going to go outside, start our smoker and our grill. So this is what's called an offset smoker. You have your heat box on this side, and this is where you cook your meat inside. So it's not direct heat. It's always away from it, so it doesn't burn your meat. So what I'm doing is I'm lighting this piece of towel. I put a little bit of oil on it. It'll burn hotter and it'll burn longer. Just a little trick for you to know. What we're using, this is called a Smoky Joe. We have our charcoal in there, and it should be starting here soon. What we want to do is get our grill to a higher heat, because what we're going to do is we're going to sear 1.5 slabs of ribs in here real quick before we stick it in the oven and braise it. All right, so next step, what we're going to do is we're going to prep one of the most important parts to our ribs, which is a rub. So this is 3 cups sugar, brown sugar, and about a 1/4 cup of cumin, chili powder, paprika, cayenne, and granulated garlic. So let's put our gloves on and get started. So what you want to do is, so you see them already right here, we're going to start mixing these. So you just got to turn them so it turns a nice bright red. And that's going to be our rub for our ribs. So once you have it nice and mixed like this, you can start using this for your ribs. So before we do that, there's one thing that a lot of people miss when they're doing ribs, and this is pretty common. Ribs, on the bottom of the ribs, on the bone side, there's an extra layer of skin called the silver skin. And a lot of people that don't know about this don't remove it, but you have to remove this in order for your ribs to come out nice and tender. If you don't remove them, they'll come out chewy, because this silver skin turns into like a rubber band almost. So we're gonna start taking this off. I'm gonna show you how to take it off. One neat trick I learned from my wife is using a napkin. Makes it easier to grab onto this skin, because other than that, it'll just be real slippery. So you see this skin all needs to come off. You just discard this. This is no good. So what you want to see, this is the difference between the ribs. When it's nice and shiny like this, the silver skin is still on. When it's nice and dull like this and the meat's exposed, that's what you want. All right, so now that we've taken the silver skin off these ribs, what we want to do, since the smoker, one of the ways we're going to cook it is smoking them. So my smoker is a little smaller than my big smoker, so what we're going to do is we're going to cut these in half just so they can fit better. All right, now that they're cut, what we're going to do is we're going to start putting our rub. So what you want to do is you want to be generous with the spread of your rub. So we're going to put them bone side first. It's already in that position. What you want to do is just pat it down. You don't want to rub it off. It's only called a rub because it's what you put on them, and you're not really actually rubbing, because if you do, it's going to come off. So what you're going to do is pat it in there, make sure it gets nice and on all pieces of the meat. You can see the rub's going to start turning red. It's going to start absorbing all the moisture. All right, so our rub is done. A lot of times you can leave these over 24 hours and you get a better effect. It's going to soak in more. It's going to be really nice. And the sugar is really important to this. You always want to make sure that your sugar is at least twice as much as the rest of your spices, just because that's what's going to make your bark when you see that dark color on it once you smoke it. So now we're going to go outside. We're going to put some of these in the grill, some to char them for the ones that are going to get braised in the oven. and then the other ones are gonna go inside the smoker. All right, so what we have here is what we're doing here on the grill. What we're gonna do is we're gonna sear 1.5 slabs of ribs before we braise them so they get nice and charred on the outside and they're not just all soggy. And the other 1.5 is gonna go inside our smoker. One of the things about the smokers that I like to do, I don't like my temperatures over 200. I like to smoke them slow and low. That's our slogan, and that's how we cook. At most, 200 is the highest I like to smoke my meats at. So we're gonna start with the searing of our ribs. So we're gonna put 1.5, bone side down first. You just close the lid and just let them sit in there for a little while. And what we're gonna do with the other ones, we'll put them inside our smoker. So just figure out when you open it, it's already at 200 degrees. When you open it, the heat and smoke are gonna rush out. So just be mindful of that. So we wanna do, the closer you put it to the fire, the more they're gonna cook. So I like to put them in between, so. And I'm just gonna use different grates for them just because I have them, so. This is why I say wear gloves. This gets a little messy. So what we're gonna do with these, we're gonna leave these in there for the next 3 hours uncovered, smoking at 200 degrees. And then for the 4th hour, what we're gonna do is we're gonna cover them in some foil and stick them back inside. Let's check these ribs out. Like I said, we just want to char on it. We don't want to cook them on here. We're just gonna let these sit in for a little bit and come back and get them. So what we're doing now, we're just checking for the charness on the ribs. That looks good because this is gonna go inside the oven for about another 1.5 hours. So as you can see, you see the little char already on it. That's pretty good. We're just gonna take these out. So our next step, what we're gonna do is we're gonna get these ribs and we're gonna cut them to single bones and then put them inside a pan. Put some beer in it, a little bit of barbecue sauce, and then we're gonna cover them in foil and stick them in the oven at 350 degrees for about 1 hour and 20 minutes. I would check it at about 1 hour. So, get my knife. So what you wanna do is you wanna go on the bottom side, see where the bone is, and you wanna cut in between the bone. Sometimes these bones extend a little bit more. As you can see, it's still raw, but we just wanted to char the outside. You're gonna finish off braising inside the oven. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna cut our onions. It doesn't matter, we're just gonna use it for flavor, so it doesn't matter how you cut it. You can cut it in quarters, however you want. Still take off the poles though. Next thing we do is put a little bit of beer in it. I would use 12 ounces. And we're gonna use some barbecue sauce. That was about a pint. 16 ounces of barbecue sauce. Now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna mix this with our hands. It's the fun part. Then I'll get nice and coated with the barbecue sauce. Then I'll get a little bit of that beer, which is gonna steam these basically, make them real tender and fall off the bone. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna get a little bit of foil and just cover the top. Once you seal them like this, and they go into the oven, we wait about 1 hour and check on them in 1 hour, see how well they're done. All right, so now next step to this dish, what we're gonna do is we're gonna get some of these beef sausages, and they're already pre-cooked, so all we're gonna do is throw them on the grill and just give them a nice little char. What I would do is cut them in half and just do some little slits on them, just so they get that nice little char go inside. What you want on your grill, you want a nice high heat It's gonna continue climbing, it's on high. So what you want is your grates to be nice and high. It's still got a little bit of sugar from the ribs, but that's okay. Ain't gonna kill it. What you wanna hear, starting hearing the sizzle on them. And we're just gonna let them sit in there and just let them char on high heat. Like I said, these are already cooked, so we don't have to worry about cooking. We just need to worry about getting that nice char in there. All right, so what we're doing next is now we're coming to check out our sausages. What you want to see is you want to see it starting to split like that and sizzling like that. Starting to get a little darker. So what we're going to do is we're going to flip them. It's okay if they break apart. That's what you want to start seeing is a char on these guys. So you can see they're really juicy and they're going to start. You can see they're sweating already. That's a good sign that they're ready to turn. Now what we're gonna do is char the other side. And it's okay if some are more charred than others. All right, so now we've taken off our sausage. These are nice and charred. These are gonna go on our dish with our ribs. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna unwrap them and cut them and start plating these. Just be careful when you get these. You know these are done. They're actually, a lot of people call these overdone. When you do competitions, they look at this and it's overdone, but for your house, this is perfect. This fall off the bone once it starts pulling from the bone. So what you wanna do is you wanna flip them upside down. Again, look for the bones, cut in between, comes off. All right, so now what we're gonna do, we're gonna take these ribs and we're gonna plate them. We've actually already pulled out the braised ribs. So you can see on this platter, we have our sausage that was grilled earlier. And now we have our braised ribs. One thing we're gonna do is use some of the braising liquid and put some on top of these ribs. Get these ribs and plate them on the opposite side. These are your smoked ribs. These were smoked with hickory. You can use applewood, you can use cherry, you can use pecan, whatever your flavor. I prefer hickory or apple for pork. These are baby backs. And in traditional Texas, we don't put sauce on our barbecue. We always put it on the side. And as we were talking about earlier, we wanted to plate this and make it a little Halloween special. So we just add a skull to this, put the ribs and sausage there. Try to make it look like a platter of ribs and guts.
There's nothing like a delicious slab of ribs. I hope one of these methods on this video helps you make some delicious ribs in the future. If you try this for Halloween and decorate it, please send me some pictures. As always, please share, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and leave me a comment or question. Until the next one, y'all have a happy Halloween.